Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Renée Marino of Master Communicators. Renée, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, Gresh.
No problem. Super excited to have you on. And before we jumped in, I wanted to read a little bit more about all the awesome things that Renée's doing so that you can learn a little bit more about her. And Renée is a communications coach who has been recognized by heavy hitters Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi for her dynamic energy and her ability to serve. She was a guest on the Dean Graziosi's podcast, the Dean Graziosi Show, and was handpicked by Tony Robbins when she won a trip to his private resort in Fiji for her commitment in his comeback challenge. Renée helps to guide women and men to own their power and gain confidence in themselves and clarity in their relationships by becoming comfortable with authentic communication and merging the two worlds of new school technology with old school simplicity. She has been seen as Mary Delgado in the film Jersey Boys, directed by Clint Eastwood, and was featured in People's as Ones to Watch, Variety, and in the Huffington Post. Renée, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
Yes, let's do it. Hello, community.
Let's do it. So to kick everything off, I wanted to kind of rewind the clock a little bit, hear a little bit more on how you got started. Could you take us through your CEO story? We'll let you get started with all the awesomeness you're working on.
Of course. So I have had the honor for over 17 years of being a professional actress on Broadway, in film and in television. And during that time, I realized that my highest of highs and my lowest of lows have all been due to communication. And it's funny, right? Because as a performer, you're in front of audiences, you're on stages, and essentially, your body is your tool. So I have been communicating on a high level for my entire life. And growing up as an Italian-American girl from New Jersey in a very close-knit family, we'd sit around the kitchen table and talk and eat. And I've realized that being a great communicator has kind of been ingrained in me. And as a performer, I started to see this pattern of, friends and coworkers running into problems in their relationships because of lack of communication. And I would always find myself giving advice and talking about things like, well, did you talk to the person when you had an issue with them? And you'd think that that's a really simple kind of foundational question, but oftentimes the answer would be like, well, no. And I'm like, wait a second.
I never thought of that.
Talk to them. Like, how are you going to solve this problem? So I was doing Pretty Woman on Broadway last year, and I began writing a book on becoming a master communicator. And I just, in my gut instinct, I was like, there's a book in this, and writing has been, one of my greatest gifts and passions. And I was like, I'm going to do it. So once that show closed over a year ago in August, I knew that I kind of wanted to, flip the next page and start a new chapter in my life. And I knew that it had to do with communication. And, I was kind of thinking I think it's going to be in coaching, but I don't know the first thing about how to start a business, run a business. And then I came across Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi on a live video talking about this amazing program called KBB, the Knowledge Broker Blueprint. And after I watched the video, my husband was like, this is it. This is the missing piece of what you've said you've needed to kind of start this business. You need the structure. And through that course, I was like, this is it. This is what I'm doing. I am a communication coach. And it's funny, Gresh, because I've really been doing it my whole life, right? Like, oftentimes the things that are our superpower are what we do so naturally. And talking about communication and living good communication is who I am. So this kind of just feels like a natural progression, and it's been amazing. I love it so much. I have my coaching clients one-on-one. I teach this amazing course called Communication on Camera, where I help people gain the tools and the confidence to get on video and feel comfortable. And it's just been a really, really beautiful journey.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it, and I absolutely love that. And especially as you talked about, so many times we're looking for our gift, our zone of genius, our superpower, as you said, and a lot of times it's right in front of us, and often it's things that we overlook because we do it so naturally, it comes so well that we don't realize that until we talk to other people that, hey, this is something you really do well, so why don't you start to pursue that? So I love that you went forward and started to sharpen that saw even more.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Awesome. So I know you touched a little bit on the programs that you have. Could you take us through a little bit more on different ways that you help support those clients that you have?
Sure. So I love people, right? Like that's like first and foremost. I love my clients so much. I love to be able to serve. And, I help these wonderful women, wonderful men who, oftentimes are just kind of lacking in that department of authentic communication. Maybe they were brought up in families, that communication wasn't an open territory. So when it comes to their personal relationships, their business relationships, they kind of don't have that ability to step up and kind of say, hey, this is what I was thinking. I have this great idea, or I'd like to talk to you about something. I felt a bit of a disconnect. Can we talk about it? Sometimes that seems like, oh, that'd be easy to do, but it's not easy for everyone. So I help to guide these men and women to find what their limiting beliefs are that are holding them back from being able to communicate on this clear and strong level. So in my camera course, which has been so fun, I'm teaching it again actually tomorrow. It's a live, like 2-hour workshop. And I really it's like a 101 amazing course that just helps you to be able to make a live video, whether on Facebook or Instagram, or a standard video that you're going to post later for your website. But to be able to do it in a way where you're able to really bring your most authentic self. So many people fear that, right? They're like, camera, oh my God. And they freeze up and it's like, oh, right? They don't know what to say or do. So I help kind of let all of that go and just like get real and understand how to just make it a real conversation, even though it's odd, right? We're talking to a screen, but kind of putting that aside and being able to bring your real self to those videos. So it's been incredible. And in addition to that, I just finished the second draft of the book. Congrats. So we're getting that up and going, baby. Yeah. So that's going to, be published soon. So yeah, there's a lot of wonderful things in the works.
Nice. I absolutely love that. And I love how you kind of talked about how that communication piece manifests itself in so many different ways, because when in the beginning, when we were telling us your story, you talked about how sometimes those lack of communication skills, I guess you can say, sometimes can prohibit somebody from reaching their next level, from, having a really strong relationship foundation, from being able to communicate online, all those different things. And I love how that foundation manifests itself in so many different ways.
Totally. And Gresh, so many of us get held back in our lives from like amazing opportunities. As you said in the beginning, in my introduction, I had the honor of being on Dean Graziosi's podcast. As I had a great interview with him, and we talked all about that. And the title of the podcast is How to Avoid Missing Opportunities. Because in my life, if we had lots more time to chat, but one of the best, greatest experiences of my life, I gained that opportunity because I had the ability to open up my mouth, and speak about what I wanted in a clear and warm, direct way. And because of that, I was able to have one of the best opportunities of my life, starring as Mary Delgado in Clint Eastwood's Jersey Boys. Like the story is incredible. But that all came down to communication. And so often I see friends, coworkers have these missed opportunities where they just want to kick themselves because if they just said something, or if they just sent that email, or if they just had a face-to-face talk, they could have made it happen for themselves. And that to me is one of the greatest disappointments, when you know that you could have had an opportunity, but you didn't because of your own doing. And, life can be hard enough, right? Like life in itself, we have things that we deal with, but why add fuel to the fire by being the person who is controlling the situation sometimes and not giving yourself the opportunity you deserve?
Yeah, absolutely. And that, as I kind of talked about before, sharpening that saw. And there's so many people that are doing so many phenomenal things and have, gifts to give to the world. But if you're not able to communicate that, again, that block that you kind of spoke to sometimes can prohibit that from happening, as well as even I think we all individually would have hoped. So would you consider that to be what I call your secret sauce, the thing you feel kind of sets you apart, is that ability to see and get that and out of people and be able to make them comfortable?
Yes. It's funny. So I had a coach a few years back, and she asked me, she said, Renee, what do you think your superpower is? And this is before I took KBB and even really knew like what a superpower was. And I said, I have this innate ability to just bring out the best in others, to help others see what their gifts are. Like, I'm so good for everyone else, you know, and it's always funny because we all do this. Sometimes we're our own worst critics.
Right.
So some days, you know, when I have those moments where I'm, you know, not being as kind to myself as I would like, I say, Renee, you're so great to everyone else. Like, who cares you made a little mistake? Get past it, right? So yes, I believe my secret sauce is my ability to let others kind of hold up the mirror for them to say, do you see how incredible you are? Do you see that the only reason you're not communicating is because you're scared that you're going to sound stupid, or you're scared that you're not good enough, or you're scared that that person's going to walk away from you? Guess what? You're freaking amazing. And you've done this in your life, that in your life, this in your life. So being able to communicate is easy comparatively to everything else you've done. So yes, I would definitely say that's my secret sauce, and it's something I love doing, and it's so natural. And as we talked about just before, a superpower really is so easy to overlook. For all of you out there listening, it's so easy to overlook because it feels so natural to you that you don't even think twice when you're doing it, until, as Gresh said, someone else is like, man, Gresh, you're amazing when you do that. And you're like, what do you mean? This is just, it's what I do. And they're like, no, man, not everyone does that. You know that, right? And then you're like, oh, I guess this isn't easy for everyone. So it's a really, really interesting thing because we all have our superpower. And I really urge all of you out there listening to think about that for yourself. Like, what's that thing you love doing more than anything else? What is that thing that just lights you up and you don't even think twice about because it's so natural?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you're able to highlight that. And again, kind of understand that sometimes we're our own worst critics. And I think there's I don't know if it was a meme or something I read where it was saying, you know, sometimes the way that we talk to ourselves, we wouldn't have a friend talk to us like that. So why do we beat ourselves up about some of the things that we're incredible about? So I love that you're able to kind of see and hold up that mirror and help people to kind of be their best selves and know what their best selves looks like and how it manifests itself. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but what's something that makes you more effective and efficient?
Let me tell you, my friend, I have started, it has been almost 2 months now, priming. So it's something Tony Robbins talks about. And I recently did UPW, his first virtual event, Unleash the Power Within. Literally game changing, like life changing. It was everything. And he taught us about priming. And I've started doing it now since, so that was what, October, like 16th. I've been doing I'm not October. I just lied to you. July. Hello.
Yeah.
I said October because then his next event is in November.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been doing it for like almost 2 months now, and it has been so wonderful. It's basically all about starting your day off with complete gratitude, right? And reminding yourself of all the things. Like, you know, you start out saying like, all right, what are 3 things you're grateful for? You know, you first do a little breathing technique, and then it's like 3 things you're grateful for. And that seems so like, oh, everyone talks about gratitude. It's like, no. There is no underestimating the power of gratitude. And not just gratitude, but reminding yourself the things that you have done or experienced that make you feel utter gratitude, because we often forget them. Again, in the human mind, we are so focused on like what we need to do and to get and to achieve that we sometimes forget about all the things we've already done and achieved and lived through. So by really honing in on that, like first thing after you wake up, sets your day on such a beautiful footing. And that's not just, you know, it's like a 15-minute process, but after you're done, like, I'm not gonna lie, all of you out there this morning, I did it. I like ended up in tears. I was like, yes, this is my time, baby. This is our time. Like just in tears, that feeling of complete freedom. And that to me is a CEO hack, my friends, because if you can start from there, think about all that you can achieve the rest of your day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you kind of drew that parallel too, because just as you said, sometimes not only do we forget that within ourselves, we forget that around some of the things that we've achieved or some of the things that we're grateful for being able to even wake up in and of itself is a gift. And I think when you start to look at those things, you start to prime, as you said, as your hack, I think that really, like you mentioned, starts to get that momentum going, because once you start to recognize the gifts that you have, I think even more starts to flow towards you. I don't know if you've experienced that over
Yes.
these last 2 months.
Look, I have chill bumps. I have
There
chill
you
bumps. That means like this is exactly what we're supposed to be talking about. Like it's like
Mm-hmm.
the universe is giving us confirmation. Yes, yes. And this is what I love about it.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me if you all agree. Sometimes I know I do this all the time. I literally like completely forget about amazing things that I've done or have happened in my life. Because, again, you're on to the next thing, and we're often thinking about what we haven't done and what we haven't achieved and how we could be better, right? But if you flip the script with priming, it's so interesting. Your brain now starts to tune in to all those things that you've done. And I have days, Gresh, where I remember things from my childhood, things from high school. And I'm like, oh, remember that moment? Like, that was so beautiful. And it shows you the power of the simple moments, and how the simplicity in our lives sometimes is the part that matters most. And all of a sudden your brain starts like reliving those things that you completely tuned out, forgot about. And it's really, really powerful, because you end up after like the 15 or 12 to 15 minutes and you're like, oh my God, I'm like unstoppable. I've done this and I've done that. And I just feel love and gratitude. And it's a beautiful, beautiful way to start your day.
Yeah, absolutely. Get your energy level so much higher to be able to kind of recall those things and realize how great and phenomenal that we all are in our
Yeah.
own special ways. And again, so many times we scoot past that. So I love that hack. And now I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO nugget. And this could be a word of wisdom or a piece of advice, could be around communication, or if you hopped into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
I love to use this phrase with my clients, and it is, the juice is in the journey. And what does that mean, right? It means that we are often so focused on a destination or a goal, and that's wonderful, right? That's part of it. That's part of like self-development, becoming a master communicator, as I say. That's so important. But it's also, and Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, it's who you become on the way to achieving that goal. Because the juice of our lives is in the journey, the ups, the downs. Like, I believe I wouldn't be as effective as a communication coach if I didn't go through all of the things that I've been through in my own life. Because I believe we connect with others the most when we are so honest in what we've gone through. And I posted this quote recently, and it basically said the parts of ourselves that we want to hide away from the most, or like we're ashamed of, we don't want to talk about, those are the parts of ourselves that connect us to each other the most. Right? And it's like, for me, when I hear someone just like so vulnerable, so honest, like automatically I feel connected to that person, because that's real. We're all human beings, and we're in this day and age of Instagram, social media, filters, where everything is just a highlight reel. That when you find that vulnerability and you meet a person that's so real from a raw place, you're like, wow, now that's who I want to learn from. Because if that person went through A, B, and C and they got to their destination, hell, that means I can too. And instead of stressing ourselves out, everybody, along the journey, when things don't go right, when we come up against walls, instead of getting really frustrated and upset with ourselves, remind ourselves the juice is in the journey. These moments I'm going through right now, later on, are going to make me so much more effective in whatever I achieve and in whatever destination I get to.
Nice. That's absolutely powerful. I love that phrase, the juices in the journey. And I think I wrote something, I think yesterday actually on my blog, just about like how so many times we get caught in the finish line, but really it's the process that really is the true gift, because you start to sometimes show ourselves that we're better than sometimes we think we are at that moment,
Yeah,
because we're
yes,
able to get through those challenges and frustrations.
totally. It's so beautifully said. Yeah, a
Awesome.
100%. And right, it's just so, it's so, I feel like it kind of like takes the pressure off too when you think
Yeah.
like the juice is in the journey, right? So instead of believing, and for all of you perfectionists out there, I'm with you. I'm now what I call a reformed perfectionist, right? But as a perfectionist, you are so focused on like, oh my God, if it's not perfect, like it sucks. I'm not gonna submit that blog to someone to read, or I'm not gonna do this until it's perfect, perfect, perfect. And we drive ourselves so crazy. But if we could remind ourselves all of these little moments, even though they seem like moments that don't matter, become the moments that matter. And if you could just almost, again, back to gratitude, feel grateful for those times when you're so frustrated, man, that, that technology's not working, you can't understand this funnel that you're creating, whatever it may be. Behind that feeling of, upset, if you could find the gratitude and the reminder that, okay, this is just a part of my journey. The juice is in the journey. This is going to serve me one day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not everything's happening for you. Everything's happening not to you, it's happening for
For
you.
you.
Exactly, is a great reminder. So now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on this show. So Renee, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Yes. Being a CEO to me means freedom and choice. Freedom to create my business and share my vision in the way that I choose, and also the choice to surround myself with the people that I want to be surrounded with on my team. I'm such a believer in, chosen family, and, surrounding yourself with those people who lift you up and remind you of your own power and are open and communicative. And to be a CEO and be able to handpick those people for myself and my company, to me is pure beauty, and I just think it's incredible. So yeah, being a CEO means freedom and choice.
That's definitely powerful, especially, as we talked about, even like being able to flip the switch in your perspective. You have a choice to be able to make some of these changes and manifest a lot of the things that we want to see in our lives. And I think once you have that, I guess, perspective and believe and understand that, then you really get to kind of paint the world and the paint the world in the way that you hope to see it. So
Yeah.
absolutely love that, Renee. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate your time even more. What I wanted to do is pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you can let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get hold of you, get a copy of your book when it comes out, and find out about all the awesome things you're working on.
Totally, totally. Thank you so much, Grush. This has been amazing. Yeah, please, everyone listening, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, Renée Marino Official. Send me a DM. I love it. I love to connect with, you know, potential other master communicators, and those of you who just have a question, reach out to me. I'm also on Facebook at Renée Marino and Master Communicators as well. That's a Facebook page. And if you are serious about kind of honing this ability to become a master communicator, I have a wonderful Facebook group called Becoming a Master Communicator Through Imperfect Action. And it is for those who are truly, truly serious about kind of gaining that confidence to be able to speak up in their relationships, be able to get on a live video and feel comfortable. If that's something you're interested in, definitely feel free to join the Facebook group. And yeah, just reach out, because I really love connecting. That's the best part of being a communication coach, right? Is connecting on a deep level with other people. So I look forward to meeting you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much again, Renee. We will have the links and information in the show notes as well, too, so that everybody can follow up with you. And I truly appreciate you not just, being a master communicator, but helping so many people communicate some of the things that they hope to see and feel and experience in their lives. So I appreciate you, my friend, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.
You too. Take care.